Morning, morning, morning all. Yeah, I've just been asked to make a habit of, before I share the screen, just to say hi. I'm normally coming around about 25, 26 minutes past, something like that, just before the 9:30 opening. Just to say this is a trading room, not a training where we teach you different indicators and what a lot size is. That's done by stock market culture or whatever, when you buy educational packages. Just to say what we do here is once you've got the basics, just the basics, you can come join us on an ongoing, like a forum, family basis where we all work together. We look for trade ideas, changing the strategies, upgrading strategies, or just basic strategies, talk about economic fundamentals, position sizing, and other bits and pieces on the practical level to enhance your trading journey. Now, the guys like Brady and Pietro and Anna Maria and Fani Wandili know that. They've been here regularly, and they'll probably back me up. You need to come in regularly to pick stuff up. You won't learn to fly an aircraft after one lesson, drive a car after one lesson, or build Rome in a day, as they say. But it's an ongoing process. We do our best. Sometimes it goes all right. Sometimes the markets behave strangely. Hey, those who know the score will understand that. But we do our best. Okay. So it's a way it's like a forum where you interact. You can unmute and discuss it verbally. It's a lot easier to be proactive. But if you're not discussing, it's probably better to keep it muted in case you've got a background argument or noise which is interfering with the trading room. But please feel free to verbally interact. Or if you're a bit shy, just starting, please mark any questions, like Marcus down there having a pitfall day. You can just put in trading suggestions. That takes precedence. If you want to know what that black line on the chart which I'm about to show you is, and John asked that, and maybe Mary asked, let's have a look at the US dollar CAD or something. The dollar CAD will take precedence. If I'm waffling on or talking or instructing or whatever you want to like to call it, suggesting about gold, and the guy wants to have some updates on Brent or the euro dollar or whatever, that takes precedence. And the way to do it is you can either verbally or interrupt if you like. You are more important, I'm afraid. So, and I'll certainly change course if you want. Or, just place on the chat line and we'll go over to it and discuss it. So that, as I say, that takes precedence. Remember that. When we have quiet period between trades, we can do a bit of Q&As, question answers, something you need clarifying. You went through a class and they talked about something you weren't sure. I'll try and crystallize it for you and do some basic overall bullet points, which I'm convinced guys after going to classes are still not fully understanding. I've got a couple to write down today. We can discuss if and when we get a quiet moment. Sometimes the markets is all go. And then you guys think, God, what's going on here? I just cannot keep up with this. The speed is so quick. But for the guys who've been there before, we don't want to miss out. There's 3-5 trades coming up. That's changed over. This is happening. It does get a bit quick, but jot a few notes down, bring a pen and paper. So next time in a slower period, we can sort of make it a little bit easier to understand what the heck we were talking about. Remember, we have people trading for a while, some intermediaries and some beginners. We mix it all up, and you're all important. All must come to the party, and it's vitally interact. If you're not sure of something, don't say, oh, they might laugh at me. Well, if they laugh, it's their own bloody ignorant fault. We all started somewhere. Don't get that clever. If you drive a car, when you first drove a car, it was not that obvious. So please, interact, ask, and we'll try and solve it for you. If it's too basic, then we say, I'm sorry, you've got to go to a quick class just to brush up, something like that. But we try to get honesty, integrity, etc. in the trading room here, and we all do our best, and we're all hoping to help each other. Hope that's all clear. Probably will be doing something like a similar little chat up most days as required, just so people coming in new know what the heck's going on. Okay, and that being as it may, it's just 1:30. I'm now going to share the chart. Well, exactly, Mark. Well, it's not just that. You're right. It's just bloody ignorant. I mean, would you like me to laugh at you when you first started your job or whatever you did? Everyone starts somewhere. And why make the world a little bit colder? What are you trying to achieve by that? Want to help your fellow man. There's enough problems because we're so bloody daft. We get cute with everybody else. Well, What happens? You don't like someone getting cute with you, so why dish it out to somebody else? Yeah. Anyway, I hope you can all see the chart as I've got on the board here. Okay, I hope you can all see it. Okay, the only time you laugh, by the way, is when I tell a joke. And then if you don't laugh, it upsets me. In other words, try and get a bit of banter. I've got a bit of a banter, rather a Monty Python kind of Faulty Tower sort of sense of ridiculous type of sense of humor. I hope you'll appreciate it. It's all in fun. It's not like, the guys who know me better will know I'm teasing, they'll tease back. Just like a bit of banter. So I don't mind that. It's when you laugh at the guy just starting, not sure, ask the question. Okay. Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, I'll do that in a moment. Okay, where are we? So you've got the chart. Let's go on that request. See what Pietro has done? He's put up a request. So that is the only thing that's more important than me is telling my latest joke. No, I'm just kidding, guys. That takes precedence. We're going to do that straight away. Going to go into a great long explanation what happened to me on holiday last year, but now I can't because you want to hear about GPNZD. Oh, damn. Right, why did we think it's a buy? Let's just zoom in a bit or zoom out a bit. I always get that the wrong way around. I do it for years and years and years and years, and I always make the zooming in, zoom out. So I say scrunch it a bit. That means probably zoom out. Yeah, I get it right this time. Okay, right. Clearly, guys, you can see, and you guys and everyone else hearing it for the millionth time, doesn't matter, I'm going to do it anyway. It's above the brown, the 200. It's above the blue. Those are the most important moving averages of the whole lot. Right. After that, you got the 100, which is pretty important as well. Good support these two guys, and that's the 10. Well, if it's above, like I mentioned to the older guys, newer guys, I've got this in the buy zone. If it's below both the brown and the blue, it's in the sell zone, and between you can buy or sell. It's the neutral zone. That's the 50-day simple, and that's the 200-day. So let's get these guys in. 200-day simple moving average. All of them. So it's 10, 50, 100, 200 in order. Put them on and then right click once you've got them on there and go, where's it now? Templates, go and save your template, put your name in there. Okay, put your name in there and then save your template. And so if you lose your charts, there they are. You can save several templates with different moving average or different whatever, no problem there. But I strongly suggest all of them have at least the 50 and the 200 on because they are internationally used and therefore they are self-fulfilling. And it will make, in theory, not always in practice, your trading life a little bit easier, take out a lot of lagging indicators, a lot of confusing and paralysis by analysis, where you can simply have on a glance see it's the buy, intermediary, or sell zone. Okay, well, number one, it's in the buy zone. The pound, due to on a fundamental basis, in the sort of not talking about, countries like Turkey here, but out. But countries, has the highest inflation going and the highest, it's over 10%. And, we don't have 10% over here, you get the idea. So we're taking high inflation, the expectation of increasing interest rates. So even the economy battling a bit, there's still an expectation of increases of interest rates have to go forward, whatever they say. The Bank of England will encourage that anyway. So that aids a little bit of strength of the currency. You might see the back of the front, the country's battling, shouldn't it weaken the currency? Well, when we expect interest rates to increase, it usually strengthens it. Why does it strengthen it? Because, well, it makes it, by strengthening it, basically makes the currency more valuable. Okay. Right, so where are we going to go? So it went up, it's holding above there, and we got some support in this direction here. Okay, so we thought this support has been holding way back till 3rd of May, call it 1st of June, about a month or so, just over a month. You get the general idea. So the pound seems to be very much, for the reasons I gave, and technically speaking, you don't have to be a technically knowledgeable person to see where that line is. It's clearly the momentum is up. So we haven't seen any reason why it should change. We're doing that purely on the little bit of fundamental background. Well, for me, actually, came up with the idea. So, just throw custard pies at or shoot or whatever, it doesn't work out for you. There's a couple haven't lately, so please don't do that. Where was I? So bottom line is I don't see anything that's going to change that until it changes. Then that's why with a stop loss, you get your volumes right. And then, unfortunately, you have to change your tune then. But at the moment, we're going with that momentum technically for that reason. That's the idea behind it, Pietro. Anybody disagree with that? This is, remember, guys, this is a forum. You're not insulting my dignity or my ego, as long as it's rational. You don't be rude about it, saying I disagree for that reason. I might learn from you. You might say, oh, yeah, this is where we have discussions. That's why people like Fani and Maria, more people are confident, interact verbally, and then we can learn from each other. Nobody knows everything and nobody knows nothing. Well, nothing, but I mean, most people know something. You get the idea. So that was the theory behind it, Pietro. Any questions on that? Anything you disagree with? That's how we have discussions, a proper democracy. That's why you have debates. We don't throw stones at somebody who disagrees. You learn from them, discuss it. That's what every side, the pros and the cons, learn. Because normally it gets in a political debate where it gets emotional, but nobody learns anything. That's all right. I've got it written down. It's all right. But if you don't like it, don't do it. I always reiterate back to that point, guys. You look at it, all right, when you first start, you might go a bit blind. I get that. But a bit of experience, you look at the trade, and sometimes you don't agree. If you don't agree, don't do it. This is a suggestion. It's not a trade must. It's a trade idea, a signal, a suggestion, if you like. Whether you take it or not, it's up to you. If you take it, it backfires. I mean, well, I'm sorry about that. I promise you, we'll do our best. I don't say now, you're looking for that, you know what I mean? We'll do our best. But if it backfires, and ultimately, I'm sorry, and I hate it when it does. Of course I do. Ultimately, it's your decision whether you take it or not. And you're going to get bad runs and good runs. We had 3 out yesterday, and 2 got stopped out. One's still in. That's the Dow. I'm hoping the Dow will come right and make up for all of them. Let's keep our fingers crossed. The ones that stopped out. But if you get your volumes right, you'll know that's going to happen. You're going to get stopped out on your trading career. That's a fact. Okay, so that's why you get your volumes. You work out your equity management. That's why you've got position size calculators. So you have it. What we look at, about 2 out of 3 over a period of time, that win 2 out of 3 wins out of on a period of time. But you might get 5 winners. Somebody say you double up because you're going to get it right every time. But you might get 5 losers on the top. Doesn't happen all that often, to be fair. But he can get it. I'm sorry, it happens. You know, and that's why you've got to keep yourself in the game. Okay, and how you keep yourself in the game is gaining the knowledge, attending the platform training, getting the practical experience. The theory is all fine, but getting the practical knowledge being operative, having the right equipment. If you don't have equipment, you can't do it anyway. And you've got to have enough capital. Again, it astounds me. People don't get that basic business understanding. You need to have enough capital. If you have a couple of baddies, you're still in the game. Now, it staggers me. I'm going to share with you. I'm sure I'm allowed to, or should do. I'm doing anyway. I was looking for the deposits over yesterday. 19 people put 10 Rand or less, the smallest being 48 cents. It does my head in. Does anybody there think you can trade the international markets with 10 Rand or less? Please tell me, and then we might put you into a reality situation fairly quickly. Absolutely blows my mind. Not 19 people. Absolutely extraordinary. Well, that's a bright way of looking at it, yeah. Well, it would be better than that, be 9 employees. But that's all right. It's not big money. Remember, it's $1 trillion market. About $8–9 trillion a day. Contract value, remember the leveraged instruments, are done daily on the international markets, particularly on forex, it's the biggest. So you've got yourself a chance. You can diversify. I don't know if you're part of my group, 2.5 grand or more, you're part of my group either. So just put the number down there. If you're not, please WhatsApp me. I think you are, but anyway, I'll put them down anyway. I'll come to that in a minute, because before we go further, so I want to just write this down. I better put WhatsApp, by the way. You can phone, but just a bit quick on the WhatsApp. It's up to you. Just put it to everyone. There you are. I think I recognise the name. If you're not part of my group and you want to be a free of charge, whatever, £2.5 grand, might as well. No, I don't. Just WhatsApp me. And just say it's Ivan Olivia, preferably your real account number. Makes my life easier. I'll load that and blah 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 and take it from there. We certainly can, Lance. Okay, but you remember the principle. Just want to a bit more of that as we go along. What you put in is what you get out. And it seems to me it's a worldwide thing, is the holy grail of putting a little in and getting a lot out. I'll be honest, you some get lucky. There's people won the lottery by putting 10 rand in, they won 20, 40 or whatever is a million, you know what I mean? But majority of people don't, they lose a 10 rand. That's why they say the lottery is a tax on the poor, for that reason. Now, you've got to understand there's got to be some equal trade-off. You know what I'm saying? I'm an old, ugly old bugger, and I want to go out in this world who's half my age, incredibly intelligent, incredibly beautiful, incredibly rich, etc. Why would you want to go out with me? What have I got to offer her? You know what I'm saying? There's got to be some sort of equal trade-off. So there's nothing wrong with having less in, but people still seem to think I put sod all in and get a lot out. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So you can trade with 3 grand, 5 grand, and 10 grand, but a guy who's got 200, unless they haven't got knowledge, if they haven't know what to do, just lose more. If you've got knowledge, and you've got knowledge, Ivan, and George has got knowledge, and they've all got equipment, that's fine. And one's got 3 grand, and George has got a 500 grand. Who do you think is going to likely the bigger positions? Obviously, I mean, you know, clearly. So yeah, you can do it, but it's remember you've got to put work into to get the hang of this. And what returns are you going to get with a tiny amount of capital on the amount of work you put in? I would say to guys, you want to work for 5 grand a month, I've got a lovely job for you. You know, you're not going to, you know what I'm saying, the what you put in for what you're going to return. And it's just as much effort to put 0.1 in as 0.01 or 1.0 compared to 0.01. The difference is, all right, your loss is higher, but if you win, you're going to win 100 times more, simply because you've got a bigger position because you've got the capital. And with capital, you can diversify. One of the problems with guys who got less than a couple of grand is they can only go 1, pushing 2, maybe on a grab, really, if they're overexposing more, if they're going with 2. Normally going 1 at a time, the minimum amounts, and they can't go anymore. So if they get 4 signals, they might be good or bad. They're going to pick 1 because they can't do all of them, simply because they cannot diversify because of the lack of capital. All their eggs are in 1 basket. Okay, it's got to be understood that. And employ common sense. That's all I can say. Employ some common sense. If I'm going to drive at 20 and the other guy is driving 100, he's going to beat me unless he has an accident. Okay, so I'm use a bit of cop. Anyway, okay. So GBP CHF. I'm still. I think what's happened with the New Zealand dollar is a bit strange, actually. I know it's GBP CHF, but that's also very strange. I had the Kiwi yesterday and got knocked about a bit. No idea why. Nothing came out that made the Kiwi so suddenly strong, especially against Swiss franc. I'm looking at the daily, and the pound's been high simply because the interest rates. I'm not sure that's going to be sustained against the Swiss franc. I'm not talking the NZD. I'm talking about the Swiss franc here. The Swiss franc, sorry, older guys, new guys, to repeat again, is independent currency. It's an independent country. It's not part of the Eurozone. It's a banking country. It's not relying totally on selling cuckoo clocks. And it's because that's the most stable currency in the world and having stable to strength. And pushing that pound up there is purely potential interest rate increases. Sorry, my head's getting around my mouth here. You get my point. So I'm still expecting downside. It comes off, it hits a 1.14 or just above, and then the sellers come in. The frustration with it is not getting a lot of follow through. But having said that, you can always modify your stop. And even if you're not quite getting the rewards you like, I mean, I've done the USD, we had a USD Swiss franc idea out. I've been in and out of it 3 times on that one signal. Because I modified, got stopped out, bounced up, went in again, went up, stopped out, went again, stopped out. But stopped out is not a horrible word. It's stopped out in the profit. And you've modified it to better than entry. That's the idea. Okay, so I'm still expecting downside. And if you look at this at the moment, it has popped up, but it seems to be holding. And then it's on the daily chart, remember, the sells are coming in. It seems to be range trading. And if it comes down to even these levels, 50 pips, it might not be 100 pips you're aiming at, but who's going to throw custard pies at me for making 50 pips? You get the general idea. So Lance, yeah, I might have to stick with it. Buy zone or no bloody buy zone. That's why I'm going to change it around. You say, oh, well, half an hour, was it 15 minutes ago? That's in the buy zone. Yeah, I think the pound is overvalued against the Swiss franc. And that's why, despite this in the higher buy zone, if you like, above those moving averages, I think it's going to get pulled back a bit. If you're in, you got your stop loss, stick with it. If you're not in, I still see downside. Okay. I still see downside even if you're not in. Okay. Now, you want to look at something else, EURNZD. Who's that now? Tim McCosey? EURNZD. Sorry, I jumped to that, beg your pardon. I suddenly saw that in front of me, and I was too busy on about the amount of money. So EURNZD. What's going on here? Hang on. What is going on here, Mr. CB? This is looking pretty good, isn't it? My problem is the NZD, I don't know where it's got this strength from. Remember, the reason that's come off is you buy or sell the base currency. That's coming off. It means the secondary currency has strengthened. That weakens the other side is strengthened clearly. I'm not sure why that occurred. Okay. Now that is interesting. Now that could indicate more downside. Technically speaking, that could indicate downside. It's broke through the 50-day moving average. It's gone up and tested this a bit of support here, and it seems to be holding. So in theory, that's a short. My problem with it is this. With the hawkish stance of Lagarde, she's the president of the European Central Bank, ECB, easier to say. She's sticking with a hawkish stance. Hawkish stances means interest rates, blah, blah, going up, which means strength of the euro in simple language, okay? So when people say hawkish stance, it's good for the currency. That was usually not so good, usually being the operative word, okay? So yeah, I'm reluctant to short it, even if it technically looks like it. I look, there's a confluence or whatever you like to call it, Tembi. I think if it gets back above the 50-day moving average and it holds there, I think we can get a recovery to the upside. Any opinions on that? So that's what my take on that is. Any thoughts on that? Tim Cozy, Lance, anybody out there? Martin, Chantel, Fani, Ernest, Anna Marie, anybody? Brady?
Okay, I'm really concerned about the New Zealand dollar. Even with the fundies that came out on the exports, that is down. I don't know what is busy strengthening the New Zealand dollar. So I rather at this point in time do a trade on the yen, which is also doubtful, instead of the NZ dollar. So I will wait for this.
Did you hear what I had to say, guys? I totally concur. I don't know about the yen, we'll look at it in a minute, but what he said about this, I concur, by the way. Sorry, my first language means I totally agree. Did you hear what he said that? He's got the ability to put in 10 words, so I'm fortunate, so I am using about 100. I like to get a little bit of detail so you see the reason why. But on point in a nutshell, did you hear that, guys? That's exactly what I think. Because I don't know. What Fani means is you don't mind being wrong, but you want to know why. You prefer to be right, but you want to know why. You like to be right, but if it's the wrong reasons, it still makes you uncomfortable. You want to know why. And there's no clear reason. Well, I say it's a clear reason, but I just don't know what it is. Let's be humble and fair on this. There's no, for me anyway, clear reason why the New Zealand dollar, and I think it's more than prop-day pullback, has suddenly strengthened, not just against the euro, the Swiss franc particularly concerned me. Because I don't know why that's occurring, I become very aware of it. Because you have to have some rational reason. I fancy going to euro dollar. Why? Oh, I think it's a bit low. I think it should go up a bit. That's my emotion. That doesn't mean anything. But if you're trading on that aspect, what's the point of buying lessons? You might just, toss a coin. And I'm pretty sure finally would say that's the principal reason. We agreed on that. So bottom line is, I'm a little bit wary of, I'm not wary of the dollar against Russia so much. I still there's possibility there. For the euro dollar, I want to get a confirmation sense coming back above there. I'm nervous of going lower down. And look at the 10 hours, nearly 10-hour old left. candle. It's not going up. It's not going down. It ain't going anywhere. So for that reason, let's look at something else. Okay. Yeah. Well, Ivan, that's a point. You see, I just want to just expand on that. The beauty with a candle, forget all these fancy names. I know you have to learn as part of the exam, well, fair enough. But what the purpose is to find out what the buyers and sellers are. You can call it a Mabaruza, a Morning Star, a Bering Gulf, whatever you like. The point is, what are the buyers and sellers doing? And the buyers and sellers aren't doing anything. All right, we can look at an hour chart on a daily. I get that. But that daily is actually a 10-hour chart because it's only 9 hours 50 old. You get the idea. It's held, it's broken below that. I get that. But as it came off, buyers came in. So it doesn't know where it's going. Well, if it doesn't know where it's going, how the hell are you going to know? Yeah. Ivan, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? Roger, I have no idea. Well, if you have no idea, how the hell can I know? You get the point I'm trying to make. Sorry, but you know what I mean by that. I just like picking on a name that's there just to try and elucidate the concept. You understand that? Yeah. You using analogies, you know, using a name like, I don't know, Madoba Incorporated, buy or sell it, just to bring it in, to make it a bit of fun. But as long as you're getting the concept behind it. And I look at that and say, why is that happening? And why is that not going anywhere? Okay, good stuff. Sorry to go in detail. I want you to also learn the reason why. Okay, still not sure. We can broaden on it, you know, expand on it. And if I don't know, find your help out. And somebody out there will help out. Okay. Right, so yens. You mentioned the yen just now. Yeah, you can answer that privately on there. There's all sorts of stuff out there. You can play around, Google different areas, go to your Play Store and look for stuff. You know, you don't want to be overloaded with information. Probably you can look at investing.com, FX News, things like that. There's a few things to play around. But all I want is not price by announcement. You're going to information overload when you're coming and going. But yeah, if you want to answer that question, you can do verbally or put on. I don't mind.
Peter, yes, I got it on investing.com yesterday afternoon, late-ish, and I've just double-checked it this morning. It was around about 5, 6 o'clock.
There you are. I mean, I look through stuff in the morning. There's these things I look at, so I don't reckon one of the others' personal opinion. The bottom line is, okay, why is that direct message?
Sorry, Peter, I did see it because I was concerned about the New Zealand dollar, but my main objective was to check and see why all of a sudden all the Canadian dollar trades, even against the yen, start weakening. And I can't understand what happened because there wasn't much movement on the Brent or anything like that. So the Canadian is for me at this point in time almost the same mystery as the New Zealand dollar.
Okay, I think I can answer that from yesterday's potential. But you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's been consolidating for about 2 weeks. Remember, it's 5 days a week in trading. 2 weeks in a sideways motion. I think the basic reason is people are worried about the yen being too weak, and they're worried about intervention. It's happened before with the Japanese government several times. In fact, they're wondering they might have a Japanese government intervention. What does that mean by intervention? They can't intervene by changing the law. They just use the power of money. Now, Japan's a rich country. Well, GDP is way in debt, but anyway, so that's a bit inverted commas. Okay, but the point is, they could suddenly, let's say, buy the yen and buy it $80 billion of buying the yen position-wise, chuck it out there to strengthen a little bit. If it's still weak, it'll jump. It'll jump in that direction, because remember, they're setting the CAD and buying the yen. Might jump down there before it pops up again. I've seen that several times. The trend is still in that direction. But what the traders are worried about is they might get some, it's been talked about, hasn't occurred yet, they might get some Japanese intervention. Right, now, why would they do that? The preference is a slightly weaker yen. The reason is because it's an exporting nation. Their major fly in the ointment, their major stuff up is the fact they don't have oil. So they've got to import it. In fact, a lot of the reason why there's a war, the Second World War, they got involved in the war, because the US had the oil then, and they didn't. Like a lot of things, you'd be surprised. You look around, it's about power and money. It always. And oil is the same as power and money. You know what I mean? Anyway, bottom line, moving on from that is, where was I? So because of that extreme worry about defensive oil, they might want to strengthen the yen so they can bring the oil price down, because you remember oil is measured in dollars. And you know, you get the money, paying more and more for the oil, like you pay far more for the oil if the oil price stays the same. If the rand goes from 20 to 40 rand a dollar, then you're going to suddenly see the petrol price jump to 40 cents a litre. You get the idea. But that's to me the principal area. And lately as well, it's been following a little bit the US dollar. I'm just going to mute all, just put me off a bit of back. That's not stop. Try and mute, guys, please, if you're not interacting. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, it has been following the dollar a little bit, and the dollar has been a little, well, very iffy lately. We've got tomorrow the ADP jobless claims, and the Friday we got the non-farm payrolls. Maybe mention that again coming out, where we're doing the straddle trade at 2 o'clock on Friday. So that's been a bit wary. So putting that together is consolidating because it doesn't know where it wants to go yet. They're scared, like I'm scared of buying that, despite it. Look at that overwhelming momentum, but I'm not comfortable to sell it yet. So the only moves you're getting there, the high-speed trades in and out using computer technology, which is quite, we don't have, simple as that. They don't touch the thing, it's high speed, they're in and out within a millisecond, no cost to institutions. It's a completely different program, so don't think about going that route. Okay, that's just giving little minimum movements. That's the point behind it. So that to me is really the reason why I see no reason to get clever with that. I'm going to the next one. Now, clearly, the end's about as weak as it gets at the moment. The Swiss franc is still the strongest. So why don't we go and buy it? Same reason. It's not so much the Swiss franc's overcooked, which I certainly think it is. That means overvalued, sorry. Hang on. Hello, sorry, it's Roger here, Quick Trade. I know it is, yeah. So I'm in the trading room from 11:30 every morning. I'm in the trading room. I'm hosting that. So please, can you call me after 11 and I'll respond and assist you. I can't do it during the trading unless you want to join me, of course. You've got the Zoom ID. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so right, good enough. Where were we? Yeah. So to me, that, despite all that, I still think there could be a little bit of downside here, simply because I still believe one's stronger than the other. But hang on a minute, it's got to be some profit taking or whatever, a bit of a pullback. But it doesn't seem to be happening. So that's why I ain't buying it and selling it, same sort of principle. That's what I'm looking. And remember as well with the yen, because this GDP is the highest debt rate in the world. It's about over 200% compared to their income. The only way of staying alive because they pay their debts. If you don't pay their debt, they'll have a problem. Now, they can pay their debt because they have been dovish, like everyone else put interest rates up. They have not. They can't. Well, they can, but it's not. But if they do, that's going to add to their debt problem. I mean, you can back. I'll give you an example. You're really battling to pay your bond. As it is, it really got a scrimp and scrape. You can't eat out because it's going in your bond. What happens now? They put your bond up by another %. You might have to start foreclosing. You get the idea. So there we are. Okay, so that's the reason why not. We'll look at a couple more yens, but I'm worried about the yen at the moment because I think it could be straight, might not get intervention, but I'm worried about it. And despite a lot of people say the yen is still going to go weaker, I'm not that sure. I'm wary of the yen at the moment, but I'm keeping an eye on it because I just think it's undervalued and I want to take advantage of it when I get a bit of confirmation. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Now, that's true, yeah, that's also true, yeah. Where are you? Nasdaq. We're going to sell out on the Dow. It's not doing too bad. Actually, we're doing okay on the Dow. That's one because, oh yeah, look, yesterday, unfortunately, we had 3 trades out, 2 are stopped out. It happens. Sorry, guys. Believe me, you don't get my case. Didn't do it on purpose. Sorry. Dow might make up for it. It's doing okay at the moment. Okay. The Dow is coming off. Thank goodness for that. That might make up. The Dow, if it comes right, will make up for those two ones that went bad and more. Stick with the Dow. Hopefully it will come off more. Right. The NAS. We had one out. Unfortunately, got stopped out. I don't know when it was. A while back. Got to be honest and up front. Can't dodge it. It happens. Yeah. I'm just worried. It just cannot on the daily. It's just. You see, it's just, I'll zoom out a bit. Got it right this time. Hey, it's right on resistance. It hasn't broken since, when did it break? Last time it popped up, and it's still, yeah, popped up here, something like that. No, it didn't really last. It was a long way up. Okay. Anyway, we're going back now to, what's that, 16th of January, is that right? 16th of January, 22. That's 18 months ago, for goodness sake, or nearly 18 months ago. So it cannot seem to break on the weekly, can't break on the daily. Before we go, next steps on the fundamental side. Am I positive on tech stocks going forward? Absolutely. We have no choice. If you can't work a computer, you have no technical skill or knowledge, you can't do emails, you can't have internet, you're virtually illiterate. Literally, it's like not being able to read or write. They got you by the you-know-what. The gonads, I think is a polite way of putting it. So yeah, and there'll be other, as the breakthrough technology, they're doing it, the best brains are going to that. Well, no, the second best, the best brains come to the trading room, yeah. But after us, the best brains are going to that. And yeah, and so there'll be new breakthroughs coming, etc., etc. So will it go to 18,000, 20,000, 30,000, like the Dow down the years to come? Probably yes. In the meantime, I'm not so sure. I think it's overcooked, overbought, and there's a lot of problems out there. We have what's called a slight, not quite there, but it's going to inverted yield curve in the USA. What that basically means is long-term interest rates become lower than short-term. Now, common sense is going to tell you, are you going to tie your capital up for 8% per year when you can tie your capital up for 1 month for 10%? Well, apart from one figure is bigger than the other, it'd be completely stupid. If in fact, make it the same. If it's 10% for 1 month and 10% for 5 years, why would you tie your capital up for 5 years if you can tie it up for 1 month for the same return? That's called inverted, that's what they call interest rate curve. And that happens, it's usually, not always, but there's no always in this business. It's usually a precursor to a recession coming up. I've been talking about it for a while in the trading room, and it's just like we're in denial as human beings. And we've got to face the reality. It looks like the West is going to recession. The social programs, they're borrowing down the years at a very low interest rate. The free money due to COVID is coming back and biting. And as a result, I agree for those reasons. And technically speaking, who asked that? Was it Lance? Yeah. Lance, not just Lance, for everybody as well. Lance answered the question. If I direct it to him, it's for everyone as well. It's not breaking above. Do I see downside there? Yes, I do. Okay, I'm sorry to be long-winded, but I need people to understand why so they can learn from. Maybe take a couple of notes, learn why I think it. It's not a thumb suck. Get it? What's GP and ZD doing? What price we get in GBE? 20.0510. It's about the same. Nothing's happening. 4 or 5 pips is nothing. You know, it's going to go up and down. That's the noise. We say reacting. If you've gone up 30 pips, or suddenly came off 30 pips, pay attention, jump to it. Let's have a look. Check it out. That's just the noise moving around. You see, the problem is, guys, I said it before. If you're going to stare at the thing all day and you see the reds and blues moving, drive yourself insane. We won't make any effect on the international markets. Just put things in perspective. This is high risk, high return. If you want a high return, you've got to take the risk. The higher return, the higher the risk. And if you can't afford to lose, you can't be in the business. You've got to be able to say, I'm willing to risk X amount of rand or dollars. If you can't risk it, you can't do it. Simple as that. Okay. Don't panic. See a bit of red. Look at the pips. In fact, rather than the rounds, look at the pips, because you know that's it. You know, I mean, you're suddenly going to too big a position. It's suddenly moving 500 rand. Well, hang on, your position too big. It's only moving 4 pips. Look at pips, not points. Pips. GBP NZD, ignore the 6 on there. It's the other one. It's the 4th decimal point for the 5th. Okay. Gone at 10. It's around about there now. In fact, it's slightly better because you've been 10 on the arse and it's now 14 on the arse. So it's let it do its thing. Don't let the noise drive you insane. Okay, so I do like the sell. I'll put it up. And because you won last time, didn't say you win this time. Because you lost last time, didn't say you lose this time. That's the emotional side is so important to understand. It takes a bit of time. I'm still not making a mistake. I made a mistake on this one the other day by overexposing. I was overconfident, came back and bit. You know, just be disciplined on it, and you'll still do it. So I'm being open. You've done it yourself. Okay, I want to make it short. Let's have a look where we can put the stop. How far is away? Up there. Make it 200 pips. Normally about 250, 300 pip stops. This one's quite a close one. Not too bad. 1, 5. Is it 2? Or is it 3? Sorry. What's 200 pips? Can't even do it in my head now. 153.50. Sorry. Do the bloody properly there. Sorry, excuse me a second. 350. Do the thing again. 153.50. There we are. TP. Let's see. Yes, how far is that? That's not going to work. Take it down there. That should work. Drop down there. Take it down there. What's that? 14.7. Might get if it's on a roll, move your stop. Don't say I've just got to move the stop loss. That's important. Absolutely protect yourself. There's no harm in moving your stop and your TP. If this thing's flying off, yeah, maybe get down to 14.5. Maybe even lower, who knows? But there you are. And the micro. This is the micro, guys. This is not the standard one. The standard NASDAQ is 370 Rand a micro. This is 37 Rand a micro. So if you've got less than 5,000 Rand in your account, do it on the micro. If you do it the other one, you make a happy Christmas, early Christmas come right, but you can do damage to your account if you don't. Always remember, you've got to do a certain percentage risk of your balance to retain equity management. Okay, don't overdo it. You can do it. If you want to put the TP there, you can do it. Stay, you always modify it. Once you got a risk reward, all right, you can force that. That's fine. That's the distance that is just stop loss more than TP. I'm more worried about the risk area. So if you can handle that, if you want to put it at 14.6, modify it down, it's up to you. We'll start with that. That's the least of your worries, Martin. Hang on, Martin. Pretty Mark's not here, but fine, understand. Very, 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 very careful of the commentator's curse. If you know what that is, then you don't follow sport. Hey, Bafana doing brilliantly. It's the World Cup final against Brazil. And they're 3 goals up, 10 minutes to go. And you turn around and say, hey, we got this sewn up. Then Brazil scores 4 goals. That's completely irrational, but it's called Murphy's Law. Be careful with that. But otherwise, I agree, Martin. Wait, if you want to use a trailing stop or modify, then take it to modify, and then you're in control. I mean, have it on your phone. If you're at work and you're in a meeting, you go to the loo, just below the table. Just quickly go in there, tap, 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 change. I'd rather control it myself. I can use trailing stops, yeah. I'd rather do it myself. And, I'm in front of a computer, that's what I do. But if you have other jobs to do, keep some data in your phone. Obviously, you have to have data, internet data. Just change, look at every half an hour or so, maybe an hour, I don't know. And just check it out and then modify it. It's up to you anyway. Okay, so if you want to use one, like I said, you can. But on the phone, that's what the phone's for. It's a backup. Just to quickly tap it out on the phone. Up to you. It's not a spreads, Nikki. Once we've done this, I want to discuss this because people are getting misunderstanding, confusing leverage with spreads, the benefits, the pros and cons of leverage, exposure. These are bullet points I want to discuss because I'm convinced not everyone's fully understand the difference. The spread's got nothing to do with the leverage of the 5 to 1. That's got nothing to do with it. I just want to explain a couple of those so we've got clear on it. That's why I need people like Nikki to bring this up because I'm pretty sure I put it down there as well to actually mention later on. because I'm convinced some of the questions getting asked, they're confusing the two, and it's important not to do that. First, good enough. Okay, so you guys like this one, so I'll put it down there. If I get two, I think two like, I'll put it down anyway. If I get about 4 or 5 or more liking it, I'll post on the company WhatsApp group, and if they like it or they agree or whatever, they'll send it out. As I said before, I am licensed at Signals, and so they usually do come from me because of the license basis. I'm licensed with the regulated body FSCA. But the other people, whether they're licensed or not, might not agree. I mean, and if they don't, they don't. So I pass it on to them, and then they will send it out. And they put a nice little banger with it and do their IT thing. So we'll see. So price is now at, I'll just say the damn thing first, otherwise we'll do all different prices. Give me a second. Let's get all this nonsense on the other screen out of the way, where I chose. Okay, send. Euro NZD for a lot. We mentioned it just now. Sorry, we'll get this thing down first. 51.50, wasn't it? 150, 15.350, and 14.7. And what was it now? Call it, make it safe, make it 40 rand. And what's the potential profit? 890. They like it, so it's got to do the levels, won't take long. Five 170 is what, 255. 255. And that will be 60, 43, 40. There we are. The beauty is now, if this hits and the Dow hits, any losses you made on 2 or 3, even 4 trades will be made and more up for it. Because this thing can move if we get it right. The best we did was the Dow Jones making 1,000 pips, hit the TP. 1,000 pips is like 10 stop losses losing 100 pips. And most of our trades are less than, some were 100, but more often than not, less than 100. So that would have been equivalent. If you just lost 12 trades, you won that Dow one, you broke even. It doesn't always happen, but just shows to understand the maths. Yeah, I know it didn't go right. We're out of that. I know that be true, but that came a cropper. Like I mentioned earlier on, you lost the last time, you're going to lose this time. Not necessarily so. Just as you, I did well on that one last time, not necessarily the same time again. You know, look at each trade as a new. You bogeyed or birdied the last hole. That was the last hole. This is a new hole. You get the idea. Okay. All right. So let's see if we can get some stuff going on that one. Okay, I've got it written down. No, I haven't. Sorry. Okay, that's good enough. Got it written down now. Just going to knock that off. Okay. Where were we? Somebody was mentioned about Euro NZD. Well, I think probably over to Farney on this one. You mentioned a couple of moments ago. Oh, there you are, Gerard. Yeah, don't you in there wrong. Right. The reason why we decided to give this one a bit of a miss was, I agree about the long, by the way, Gerard, I do. But I prefer to get the confirmation above the 50. Technically speaking, it's a neutral zone. It broke below, it could move down further. Where I'm particularly worried is it's not really going anywhere today. It's been bopping around a little bit, number one. And number two, a little bit of fundage came out about export, etc. on NZD, but to be not big enough to get that extreme strength occurring yesterday. Now, the euro is okay. It's quite hawkish, but it got strength going to Canadian, the US dollar, but more important, the Swiss franc yesterday, which is probably our strongest currency internationally. And what drove it? And as Farney and I agreed, we're a little bit nervous of jumping into something when we don't quite know the rationality behind it. You know, interest rates suddenly blast across the world. Right this instant, your interest rates increased by 0.25 or even 0.5, and the euro goes down. That doesn't make sense. I get out of the bloody way. You know what I mean? I'll say it's like having a serious, intelligent discussion with somebody who's drunk. You're just going to get nonsense. It doesn't make sense. So I agree with it, but I want to see the confirmation about that. Staying a little bit away from this one at the moment because that ridiculous, in my opinion, strength coming. I don't feel it's justified. Now I'm going to go to the Euro CHF. That one is not going to be a buy, though, as it's short. Now, why do you buy on one, short on the other one? Well, the opposite currency is different properties, one stronger than the other. Okay, this one, in theory, looks like it could be maybe a bounce upside. But would you be buying the euro against Swiss franc? Again, I'm nervous. I do see downside on this one, although I see upside on the other, to be fair. But I want a lot more confirmation than that. Edwin, not a lot, to be honest. Not a lot. AUD is also, it's Antipodes is the area. When we talk about the Antipodes, that's the Aussie, New Zealand area. Similar currencies, sometimes one stronger than the other, I get that. They're pretty similar accents, similar cultures. Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, the other way around. Yeah, but similar, but they are different. Don't forget, don't call us a Scotsman, Englishman, or a Canadian American, you know, the sort. So I'm just going to give you a second here. Yeah, give me a second. I'm just going to post in my group here. Yeah. Okay, sorted. Okay. Yeah. So I personally think the yen is a little bit undervalued. And look at that high. I think the Aussie is a bit overvalued. So it's too preempting the moment to short it. But even though it's come down, technically speaking, I agree, to support there to buy it. That could well occur. But I just think it's probably better fish to fry than trying to buy the AUD against the yen at this stage of the game. The stronger ones, if you really want to do it, rather buy the Swiss franc against the yen, if you get my point. And we're going to take it. There's still enough meat on the bone. I'll give you that. It's enough. Yeah, there's enough potential profit there. But when was it broken there? It's only 50 pips away, and that's going back. You know, was it 9 and 4? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. It hasn't broken above that. Not enough meat. Too many balls in the air. If I'm going to sell the yen, I'd rather sell against the Swiss franc, the AED at this stage. So, Edwin, personally speaking, I would leave this alone. That's my opinion. Remember, Edwin and Company? That's purely my opinion. Hopefully, there's a bit of knowledge and background on it. I wouldn't be hosting, but still, nevertheless, it's an opinion. Okay, right. Do you agree with that, Edwin? Does anybody agree with Edwin? Do you see a buy here? You've had a few of this in the trading room. Remember, suspend your egos, guys, about winning together. I thought it was a buy, another guy thought it was sell, and the sells worked out. Sometimes mine has, you get the idea. If you like this as a buy, we'll put up the RR, and some like a sell. I'm going to be an LIA. That's trading room jargon for leave it alone. But anybody like to buy or sell this, Edwin, stick with it if you feel that way. What do you reckon? or anybody, not just Edwin. I mean, this is for all of us. Anna Marie is not that keen. What about you, Fadi? Were you going to be jumping into this one as a buyer or sell? Or he's left? Or maybe he's kicked out and didn't know how to go. Yeah, I'm leaning towards a bit of downside myself. I'm going to be honest with you. I agree with you, Tumby, but I just think with not enough confirmation. Just don't think it's enough confirmation. Okay, but I think it's due for a pullback. I agree. Could well be, but leave it alone. Okay. LIA, yeah. But for the record, I agree with you, Ntumbi. I expect a bit of downside here, right? Put your money on it. Leave it alone. Okay, there we go. So if you want to do it, you're on your own back there. I'm sorry, you're not going to get much back in trading, but that's the point of having the trading room. You just want it. I'm not feeling like getting the euro dollar. I'm looking at. Just need a bit of confirmation from the guys at TR. If they're overwhelmingly against it, you're going to be very, very strong buying or very enormous self-belief to the point of almost arrogance to go anyway. Because I certainly be a bit uncomfortable. I think it's worth buying, and I get a hell of a lot saying no, sell here. I'm not that confident. I'll just go ahead and buy. You see my point. We can certainly look at that. EURAUD. Should have replied to somebody there who wants to get hold of me. I'm just saying the TR. So you should put a decent deposit in her account, and I'll give her a shout out to let me discuss how I can assist her going forward. Always remember, money talks. And you're going to put a big amount in, then you get the attention. You do one-to-ones and all that sort of thing. Well, I haven't even pressed the send yet. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Where were we? EURAUD. Well, to me, it's a bit of resistance there. I assume you're looking to buy. Yeah, buy. I don't think anyone looking to sell on this one. I think most people agree on the buy. Yeah, I agree on the buy. It's a bit of resistance there. Is it going to break through? It's trying to give it its due. See, look at that candle. You see what I'm talking about, guys? I don't see any wicks there. I just see green momentum. So it looks like it's breaking through. Where's its stop loss? 86 pips. We'll have to have a wide stop down here somewhere. I've got the daily. Yeah. Where can we take it? Take it up here. No, we can definitely get a reward there for sure. Maybe slightly tighter. Yeah. Let's look at the weekly. Any problems there? Nope. Let's look at the 4 hour. So, the money deposit could be withdrawn anytime. Obviously fairly new, so it's a bit of fear talk rather than rationality here. Just says, can the money be withdrawn? Well, of course it can be withdrawn. It's your money. By the way, guys, if you put money into the bank, just remember one very important fact: you can never take it out. And of course, you can take it out. It's your money. course you can withdraw it, yeah. But it's just fear. When something like that happens, it's not being daft or that, it's just fear and insecurity because it's outside the comfort circle. The bank, even they might rip you off and lie and cheat, but it's inside the comfort circle. You drive a car, even though it's about as dangerous thing as you get, it's in the comfort circle. When it's new, fear comes in, and that's why irrationality comes in. Just understand that when you're dealing with people. I try to do that, just to need a little bit of what do you call it, TLC and emotional understanding, empathy. I think the word is. Okay. Right. Okay. So 4 hour. It's a bit of resistance there, a little bit of sell. Let's try a shorter term one. So I don't want to push the trade, but I'm certainly looking at it. I like it. I think it might get a better price. I think it seems to, it just might be a bit of a short-term profit-taking pullback to around about these levels, but we can still look at a buy if you like, or do you want to risk missing the trade by waiting for a pullback, or do you want to go in half now, and if it pulls back the other half at the lower price? These are the options you can use, but I agree with you otherwise, yeah. I see upside. I just think after that move up, this is, remember, a 10.5 hour candle. It's moved up 56 pips. This ain't the this is not the NAS, it's not the Dow. It might come back to maybe 163. If you come back to 163, I'll be very keen. Okay, but by not going in now, you're risking missing the trade. That's the decision you're going to have to make. We can certainly do that, Lance, the technicals, but I'm worried about gold because it's booted around big time, like a football, due to fundamentals, dollar strength, yields, etc. Non-farms coming up, weekly jobless claims, that will boot gold around. That's why it's so much sideways at the moment. The technicals are second fiddle to the fundamentals on gold at the moment, Lance. Just bear that in mind. Okay, so what do you want to do with this? Do you want to wait for a better price? Do you want to go half now, half later? Do you want to do risk reward? Do you want to go to market? What do you think? Because clearly I'm going to put the stuff up if you don't like it. Little tip in life you deal with ladies. When they order, you obey. Risk and reward. Obey. There we are. Absolutely, Nikki. Save you a lot of strife down the line. There's a marital tip for you. Put it on the daily. Get the stop down. Yeah. TP there. What's that? 1.6471. Yeah, that's good enough. Just over 100 rand a micro. I'm picture on gold. Yeah. I'm not comfortable going to gold at the moment where the dollar's jumping around. We got stuff coming out tomorrow and even bigger stuff coming out on Friday. I haven't looked at the price. I did this morning in the last hour or so, but I'd be very careful to buy yourself. Now, just gold I love, don't get me wrong, but right now, just keep a hanger on the telephone. There you are, as Blondie said. So anybody want to take it now, or do you want to try and get it 1.63? It could come back. Let's look at a shorter term chart. Is there any move on back? Not much. That's your choice. I can't make that decision for you. I can't even advise because it might pull back, it might not. You get the idea. Forget NGAS, Gerard. Do NGAS, do it on your own. Or ask you, no. NGAS, it might go up, but it's just it's promised and not delivered for the last several months. I see you teasing me, okay. Sorry, guys, a bit of an in-joke there. I forgot he knows the score. He's teasing me there. In fact, I've said if you upset me, I'll sentence you to a full month of trading NGAS alone. And then you know what, you will die of boredom, not financially, boredom. It might change, but that's the way it goes. He's just teasing me. Okay, good enough. Moving on. Do you think it's going to pull back or not? What do you want to do? Do you want to go for this, guys? I can't make that call myself. Unfortunately, it's your decision now. We agree on the upside. I certainly do. Will it pull back? Yeah. Okay, we'll hang 5 on that. What I'm going to do then is I'm just going to save it and keep an eye on it. So it's not a trade as such at the moment. Save, keep an eye. I'll adjust it. I'm just doing this a quick way to save it. Just so I don't forget about it, because I like potential trade on this one. Okay, good enough. And that's why we have a properly run democracy in here. The majority has spoken. Good. Let's move on. Now, just want to quickly check the Dow's doing okay. The NAS, anything happening on the NAS? We just entered. It's about the same. Remember that the Americans markets opening today again after the holidays. So they'll be reopening again today after the Independence Day. So you should get some traction there. Right. DDD, yeah. GBP, it's about all we got. The others stopped out from yesterday, except the Dow still in. What's that doing? GBP NZD 2050 2205. It's going right, isn't it? Is that coming right? Wait, hey. Oh, hang on. That's the problem psychologically. You get a too bad one, you start thinking a bit, hang on a minute, and then, oh, forget, put it behind you, Roger. Tell you to do it, put it behind. Look at it. Who was it asking earlier on? Is it Posey? I can't remember anyway. Temby, I think it was. Saying, hang, you saw a bit of red. Don't panic. Look, give the trade a chance. It's up 30 pips. I personally think you can move your stop now. What is that? If you got in at 510, you can move your stop to 510. If you got in at 520, it's too close. I want to keep at least 30 pips away. So that, ignore the point. Those are points, ignore it. 30 pips. But you're going long, so you're in on this price, you're out on that one. That's the market maker spread. That's the brokerage, basically. That's why the disparity between the real price, about halfway between that. They have a slightly higher and slightly lower, and that spread puts the odds where they can make a buck out of it. You know, the broker's not doing it for nothing, you know, I mean, like everywhere else. So when you're going long, you get out of that one, 30 pips below that. If you're going short, you're getting out on this. You get in on that, get out of that short. So you're going short, be 30 pips above that. We're going long on this one, so you can move it back to break even. Now, hopefully, you won't get stopped out on a pullback and it'll continue, but at least you know you're safe. If you're worried about a pullback to stop you out, then you leave the stop where it is and risk losing on a winning trade, because it's not that much meat on it. 30 pips, better than kicking the shit. GBP CAD, I think, was stopped out on that. Well, I don't know. I can't remember. I think people, I don't know quite remember what happened to us. So we had a few out. The GBP cash, I tell you what, better idea. There was a sell at 68.08 and the stop loss 68.64. That should have been stopped out. Bloody hell. Not quite. Looks like it's going to get stopped out. That was a sell. Right, you're looking at buying it now. If you take you've got out of it, it looks like it's into the buy zone. Yeah, I'm very aware of the pound at the moment. It is strong because the interest rates, like mentioned, Chantal, but against the Canadian, if I must buy the pound, I'd rather buy it against the Aussie, New Zealand, even the euro or the Japanese yen or something. I'm a bit wary of the Japanese yen. The Canadian or the Swiss franc, probably no. The dollar is very, very up and down. Doesn't know where it wants to go. So I'd probably leave the dollar out as well. I think I'll sit at the sides of this one before getting too cute. Yeah, Chantel, I'm always with my money or not. I always hate to advise. You got your stop at 60, where is it? 64. Looks like you're going to get stopped out. Yeah. But well, you might as well for 3 pips. You go out now and it doesn't. I've been in trades where it's come like 1 or 2 pips from the stop and then gone in the right direction, hit TP. Not that often, to be honest, but it's happened. So in for a penny, in for a pound. If your stop's at 64, well, what the hell? You're going to lose 100 instead of 99 rand or something. What the hell? You know what I mean? So you might as well leave it there and hope it may be, but it's not looking good. 4 pips away. But it might suddenly change. I don't know. I just say, just have to write that one off unless you can lucky it comes right. Okay. But I wouldn't buy this area, leave it. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go back to the oh, it's getting better. Okay, well, GBPNZD, no, it's come off over. I thought we were 53, we were on one there. Okay, yeah, I think if you got in at the, I don't price got in, if you got in the signal price, always remember, I work on the signal price. You might have got in a different one. You've got to take that into account. If you got in 2.0530 and I smoothly stop at the break even, you've got to use a bit of bloody copier. And so I got it at 230 and it's now 237, 7 pips away, going to cut it. It's too tight. But I'm saying going in 210, it's around about 30 pips away. You can do if you want. If you think it might pull back and you don't want to be stopped out in potential trade, then you can leave or even decrease your stop a bit, decrease your risk by rising your stop a little bit and risking having a 50, 60 pips stop from market. Will take a loss. It stops you out, but if you'll be on board, it becomes off 40 pips and then shoots up and it's the target. Those are things you've got to like be thinking about. Okay. Are we all good in that? Because I'll spend a couple of moments. If any trade that comes first, anyone discuss, please put it up there. What I discuss here is just general chit chat I want to do now about a few things. But that is what we're about. So we've got a quiet moment of that. But if you say, oh, I want to do the euro dollar, please tell me. Now, I don't even listen to 702 today. I'm using a rather ridiculous situation, put it where it worries me about the world's human being who's supposed to be a Homo sapien above the animal, which means they can think. Animals can't. Well, I don't know about the dolphin, but most can't. But human beings can. And I'm just choosing where it worries me a lot of people just blindly follow stuff. Now, this is ridiculous. This is very rare. And it came out as incredible. Some woman was, it's on 702 this morning, following blindly the GPS, okay? And there's and she managed to drive in her car, I think, into the harbour or something like that, because I had other stuff to do in the back of her head there, discussing it. Because the GPS says, turn right in that direction. Now, just because the GPS tells me to drive, keep on driving, if I see a harbour full of water there, or a swimming pool, or a bloody great dam straight there, I'd hope my common sense over the GPS would say, maybe in this case, the GPS is wrong. I will stop and look for another direction. But apparently this woman drove right in because the GPS said so. Luckily, she did. I don't think she died, any more details, but it was sort of the incredulity of everyone around. But I just thought it was quite an amusing example to show how people don't think and follow things blindly. And I read a 1,000-page tome on the Second World War. And I read it, well, it's interesting to know about it, but mainly the psychological aspect, how people can do the things they do. And you think, why would they do that? Because it just shows that people just do things without thinking. And that is what you've got to do. You've got to apply a little bit of common sense and thinking when you're doing stuff. Okay. Well, Sam, you don't trade a 15-minute candle. The costs are too high. You're a retail trader. 15-minute candles are for proprietary traders with higher margins, higher leverage, and more to the point, they're not having costs because they work for the company. 15 minutes is too much unknown noise. The price of this at the moment is, as you can see, the last 2 digits, 40, on the long list, 47. I don't know, that's going to go to 57 or 37. I have the slightest idea. A prop trader who's no cost will jump in and say, I think it's 4 pips up, I'll take it. On a 15-minute chart, that'll show what I mean. They might say, look, it's a bit high there. I'll sell it with my stop here. Get stopped out, fair enough. I'll buy it up. They'll do sometimes several hundred a day sometimes. I've seen it happen. I've seen guys do 1,000 trades a day. Not often. Not high-speed guys, it's a different ballgame. I mean, individually placing. That's a different ballgame. You're a retail trader. You've got the costs involved. That if you've got propriety, traders experience. These guys have been doing it for a while. A 15-minute just to see, is there any movement? I've got it on the week chart now. That looks like, what's not much movement here? Looks like downside here. Is there any movement the upside? Oh, you get a different picture. Just to see what the movement is. But don't try and use that as a trading strategy. You need 4 hours to me is the shortest term. Daily, you can do. Week's a bit long for me, but I usually do daily, but sometimes 4. The trade idea on the 15-minute. Too short a term. Okay, hope that answers your question. Well, scalpers can do it, but a trouble with scalpers, you've got to really do the euro dollar, because once you go with 3, 4, 5 pip spreads, well, it's not worth it. Just you've got to do the maths, basically. Okay. Let's say the maths is a fancy word saying the basic arithmetic. Stuff you do as a kid. It's not stuff you go to university for. You know what I say? The 3 hours of reading, writing, arithmetic. One stupid bloody minister a couple of years ago said arithmetic doesn't start to begin with R. I go in despair sometimes, completely utterly missing the point. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, where were we? Yeah. So yeah, you've got to have arithmetic, and you've got to be able to read and write. Basically, we can't function, and you've got to have internet quite like you as well. On this trade, yeah, it depends what you got in at. If you got in at 2.0510, yes, I know what price you got in at. Again, please think, guys. I've had that so many times. Moved to stop, and they got in 20 pips higher than which they shouldn't be chasing anyway. Moved it there, 2 pips away, got stopped out. What's the point of that? Okay. But yeah, I think you get up to 205.10 to protect. But if you still want to keep a bit more distance between the price, and you don't want to get stopped out, and in case it gets to target, then, well, don't get it as close as that. But then again, if it does drop below, you're at risk of getting stopped out at a small loss. Thinking. Write it down. Okay, you're always going to get the noise. This is a 15-minute chart. Look at the ups and downs. Always, always, always. And you stare at the thing all the time, it'll drive you insane because you're just going, oh, it's down. Oh, maybe we should get out. Oh, it's going up. Oh, maybe we should double up. That's just emotion. I know it's difficult. I know it's your money. I get that completely. You've got to somehow conquer it. That's why I always say in tournaments, sometimes a guy loses, even though he's ahead, because so much pressure on him, he flunks it. They all complained about the Proteas cricket team chickening out. You know what I mean? What's it called? Choking. And 90% of the people who are whinging about it will choke on a thousandth the pressure those guys are under. So yeah. Oh, they're choking. All right, well, what about you now? And put vice versa. You see them choke. That's thousands of the situation. Try to, not looking. Okay, I want to go back to what Nikki meant there. I just want to see if people understand there's a difference in leverage, what leverage is, what exposure is, and what the spread is, because people are confusing them. When I talk about the exposure, if you go in with one standard lot on the GBP NZD, what you do is you left click here, you right click on it, and you go to specification. You look at the contract value. The trade ideas stop me immediately go up. I'm just going over there for the beginners who are not sure of this, because I'm pretty sure they don't know. Contract size 100,000. But it's no point in having information if you don't know what it means. I read a horrific article the other day in Business Day, wherever it was, I can't remember, saying there's a lot of people at school, not 9, 10, I'm talking the middle teens, who can't read for meaning. They can read, but it doesn't mean anything to them. Well, what's the point then? It's like somebody who's never heard of the stock market say Bollinger Band. They can read that, But what's it mean? They don't know. So reading for meaning. Now, there's no point reading 100,000. It means absolutely nothing to you. Well, the contract says for one standard lot, the contract exposure is 100,000 times the currency of the base currency, 100,000 pounds. Euro dollar, 100,000 euro. Dollar Swiss franc, $100,000. So if you go 1.0 on a 500 to 1 leverage, remember it's not exactly 500 to 1. It's probably more like about 330. But anyway, never mind. Call it 500 to 1 leverage. All that means is your deposit or margin is minute, but your exposure on one standard lot is 100,000 pounds. That basically is just over 2 million rand. So even though maybe, I don't know, 30 grand came out of your account as a deposit, sure, but you're responsible for 2 million rand. That's the exposure. I know you're a great credit risk, Mary Jones, so we're only going to request a 5% deposit to buy this £1 million house. Well, 5% of £1 million, 50 grand. But you're not responsible for 50 grand. You're responsible for the house. The banks lend you the other 950, but the exposure is 1 million rand and you're responsible for that house. So you've got to remember what that exposure is. Number two, the spread is just purely, and it's a floating spread, is the market maker's brokerage, if you like. And the leverage, it just means bigger or smaller deposit. So I'm just saying I want a bigger leverage because I haven't got enough margin. That's not the right attitude. The attitude is to increase your margin, put more money in. Because if you increase, if you stay with the same amount of money and you decrease the margin, increase the leverage, it means if you don't use the calculator, you're going to be overexposed. Then you get margin call. And quite frankly, we get 10, 20 calls a day, as many as that. People saying, oh, yeah, you take money out of account. There's no one near the stop. We're out. But they didn't understand the calculator, didn't understand the basic arithmetic. 9% have got sold all money anyway. They wasted their own time. That's not the story. Going in and trying to eke out no money and a highly leveraged account to try and make themselves a quick buck. And it comes back in the slight movement up and down in the noise where their margin calls. And then they ask an explanation, give it, and say, oh, no, you know what, Tori, because they don't know what I'm talking about. They're trading, they've been going for a heart surgery or a neurosurgeon's exam without knowing what a stethoscope is and wondering why they're getting a problem. We're offering training, we're offering here, and they're still not listening and taking it. Sorry, guys, it's not the way to do it. I don't put my 8-year-old son in a motor car and say, here are the keys, mate. That thing there's gear lever, off you go. No, common sense. Okay. And I tell you what, to me, one of the two biggest problems in the world is not thinking and trying to get something for nothing. And that's exploited big time by the powers that be. I'll tell you right now. I'm here to try and have a bit of reality so you can get that, hopefully. Okay, anybody not understand exposure, leverage? Do you want to know how to get leverage? Do you want to know the leverage? All you do is you right-click, go to specification, you see the margin deposit, divide that in. So 0.002, I can do at the top of my head, is 500 to 1. A hell of a leverage, that one. Okay, yeah, so, but you can do that. Is that correct? Yeah, 500 to 1. Not many are like that. It's unusual. So all that means, what does 500 to 1 leverage mean? If you want to buy a £1 million house, your deposit is 2,000 rand. Now, 2,000 rand goes in. If the house price is $1 million, tiny percentage moves against your margin. Because your exposure, your responsibility is $1 million, even though only 2 grand came out of your account. Just bear that in mind. Have we all good on this? Because it's important. Thank you, Nikki. Very important. Well, no, you'd go to the calculator. Simple as that. Right. You can. I'll give you an example. You've got a 1,000 rand account on a 500 to 1 leverage. You can go in some pretty big positions on that because it's minute deposit. Go back to the house, Nikki. You can, if you got 6 grand, you can go in and buy 3 million rand houses. You get it? The problem is, if it goes shooting up the house, then you're laughing. It doesn't have to move down. You got your stop loss down here, for instance, on down here on those three houses. But you're so horrendously overexposed that it just moves up, just bang, margin call. Just a little cut like that, margin call. You see my point? So the only way around it, I don't care if 100, 200, 500,000, 10, it doesn't matter about leverage. Go to calculator, put the stuff in on the calculator, and it says 125 random micro, whether you got 100, 200, whatever, you say, right, I've got $1,000, 12%, it's too big, leave it alone. Got 500, that's 25%, too big, leave it alone. I've got 1,500, it's below 10%, I can take it. I've got 100,000, I'm going to reduce from 10% to 2% my risk. What's 2% of 100,000 is $2,000. Therefore, I can go for 8 of those. So I'll go 0.08. Maybe you might go 0.09 a squeeze. You get the idea. Very, very important, Nicky. I hope everyone gets that, because they're confusing leveraged, and a lot of them don't even know they're in derivatives, leverage trading. This is the highest risk of the lot. This is where you high risk, high return. Control your risk. You've got a lovely Lambo, Nicky, and you're driving 180. I can't drive at that speed because it's too fast. Well, you've got the car that can do it, or maybe more. But the problem is your risk goes up as well. You've got to be aware of it. But guys are driving at 250 in their Lambos, which is a highly leveraged position, will have the clue they're doing 250. And then they're not even the knowledge to drive properly and wondering why they're having a crash. So we all know exposure, margin, leverage, spreads. Get the calculator and get your position size right, and it'll take that angst out of the situation. And getting your mind right. If you're overexposed, you're not thinking clearly. And if you're underexposed, you're wasting your time. It's completely pointless putting 50,000 rand and trading if you only got 5,000 rand. Why put the money in? Get that basics right. Very important. Are we all good with that? This is important stuff. Correct, Lance, but to me that's too big. 10% is for minute accounts. $5,000 is small, but it's not minute, it's small. But then you can start reducing to 5% risk. You want to be able to spread the diversify. Not spread, confusing you now. Spread it. So in other words, you've got 4 trades. You can take them on $5,000. You got $1,000. You can't. You don't have enough margin. People call me up and say, it says not enough money. It's all I can do not to say, what the effing hell do you think it means? I went out yesterday to Pietro, by the way, with 10 grand in my pocket, and I went house hunting with him to buy a house. You know what I mean? Pietro is, what are you going to think of me? You know what I mean? Just devoid of common sense at times. If you've got 1,000, very rarely you go more than one trade. A lot of trades, you can't even go to that one because the risk is too high. Because the minimum risk for micro, in this case, 120. If you go with 1,000 rands, 12%, you're overexposed. $5,000, you can get 2 or 3. The equity management's in place, your risk's okay. And on top of it, you've got free margin to maintain the open position, so you're not going to get margin call. And one bums out, the other 2 hit target, you're smiling. Because of the lack of trust over here, people think I'm trying to grab their money. I'm not, never mind grabbing their money, whether you trade badly or not, to be honest, doesn't make a difference to my back pocket. But it upsets me because I feel incumbent upon me to try and get these basics in your head right. And unfortunately, the people cop it are usually the people who least afford to cop it. I mean, if I lose 1,000 rand, I'll be annoyed, but I'll change my life. A lot of guys out there losing 1,000 rand is going to spoil their month, never mind their day. And that's the person I'm trying to get them to understand. Okay, Anna-Marie. Right, so are we all on the same page? We don't want you to make mistakes and lose money for things you can control. I can't control the markets. You can't control the markets, but are certain things you can control. Please get on top and understand, or take note, ask questions till it does. If you're still, after 20 times, still not understanding the basics, you've got to be honest yourself, is this going to be for you? Got all that, guys. Knowledge, capital, and the right equipment to be a success. This is a zero-sum game. Okay, Pietro, good stuff. Are we all good? Any questions, guys? I am loud, I get that. Sorry, guys, I do speak quickly. Again, sorry, I do have a guess. Best and some will always work out, but I'm on your side. Okay. GBP USD, knock that off. GBP, try to knock it off here. GBP USD. Right, again, I'm nervous of the dollar more than I'm nervous of the pound at the moment, to be honest. The pound is a bit overcooked, but I'm a bit nervous of the dollar. What's the dollar? Oh, the dollar index. Sorry, guys, I'll put that on for you. Just do the dollar index for you. Give me a second here. Just going to do the economic calendar for you. Got my number. Yeah. So as I say, please, if you got my number, don't phone me if you got less than 500 Rand on a demo account. I can't help you. I can't need value. Not much value out of finding, to be honest. But anyway, that's sort of legal minimum. And what's the other aspect? Yeah. And don't expect a one-to-one Zoom, because the time spent on the Zoom, it's like, say, going to Durban from Joburg to pick up a 50 Rand package. It's not worth it. Okay, so there you are. Make sure you copy and save the dollar index. And the other one is the 10-year yields. Yields is an operative word on the 10-year note. Short. Hang on. What happened to that then? Just going to refresh it quickly. Just give me a second. There's stuff in the way. Comes up those going on. So I'm bursting to go to drink a lot of tea, do this. Give me 2 minutes, be back in a moment. Okay, and tell me that happens. Okay, right. So don't forget, if you got the yields, you need all three of them. I'm sure you know what they all represent. We'll take 2 seconds just to go over it quickly with you. The yields, sometimes people don't understand. It's basically the returns on the US Treasury 10-year bond or note. If those yields go up, it is negative for the markets, as in not the forex, I'm talking about share market indices, and it's negative for gold, and vice versa. So if gold goes, if the yields come off, gold goes up, yields go up, gold goes down. Not 100%, but sort of. Same thing with the dollar index. Stronger dollar is negative for gold, a weaker dollar is positive for gold. Just remember, it's the other way around, can be a bit confusing. So keep it there and keep an eye. You've got the charts. An economic calendar, hopefully, is self-explanatory. You don't be jumping in the pound, any yen, pound, AUD, anything when a major CPI or PPI or interest rate decision is about to be released or Governor Bailey about to talk. You have access there on the calendar. We have 2 and 3 star. Obviously, the 3 star is more important, but it's there for a reason. Keep an eye on it. Okay, I hope that's all clear. At the moment, we've got major stuff coming up tomorrow. The big one coming up on Friday, the jobs report. So just bear in mind, I'm not too sure I'll be playing around with the dollar at the moment. The pound, I think, it's got some stuff coming up as well. There's so much going on. But anyway, the bottom line is indecision today. It's now 11 hours old. Past 11 o'clock will be closing off just now. But anyway, never mind that. 11 o'clock, you can see on the wick there, on both sides of the body, means there's indecision. I would leave the pound dollar. I wouldn't be touching it now. Pound dollar. We call it, if you heard the word cable, it means the same thing. If you heard the word loonie, that's the dollar Canadian. Swissy is always the dollar Swiss franc. And cable is pound dollar, just out of interest, not really important, just saying. Okay, but I would leave that alone. GBP CAD hit the stop, did it? All right, that happens. Yeah, we have had a very good run. We had a brilliant run last week, brilliant run the week before. This week hasn't started off on a great note. Look on the hopeful side here. Maybe the NAS and the Dow, if they come to the party, might make up for those. We'll see. Okay, so we got the NAS down, it's a couple of pips in problem. What's happening? GBBNZD, it's slightly in profit, so that's not too bad. We might start making up some headway. Okay, there's one, and that's 11 o'clock now, so we'll leave the others for going. Okay, guys, I hope you learned stuff there. I'll check Ivan. I don't know if you WhatsApp me at all, but if you have you got all my details, Ivan. If you haven't, just let me know. But I think I've uploaded into my name looks familiar. I've got a lot of guys, you know what I mean? So excuse me, I've been forgetting the name, but it looks familiar. If you're on my VIP, great. If you're not, just WhatsApp. You got my number. I'll put it in again just in case some guys don't have it. So obviously Roger Trading Support 061 529 3431. Just WhatsApp me on that. Please, anyone new, don't put in mine. Hi there, it's me from the trading room. Who the hell's me from the trading room? Oh, and they say, oh, it's John. Well, John, there's millions of Johns. Put your details in so it saves me type chasing, please. Thank you, Chantel. Hope we all got some value, learned stuff. It's ongoing. Bring a pen and paper to it. Ongoing. If you're not sure of something, you can WhatsApp me or join the trading room or whatever. Don't forget, if you can't make the trading room, it is recorded. Go to the portal, go down to the bottom, social media, it's on YouTube there. So it is recorded. Okay. Thank you very much, Madoda. Great stuff. Thanks, Sonny. Thanks, Chantel and Nikki. Of course, great stuff. Great having you, Nikki, because you ask questions that are prevalent for everybody. As long as they're cleared up, there's no point me asking the question you're still not sure, then ask you to repeat it, because these are, if they're not that important, I'll say so. If they're bullet points, critical, then I will have to go over a couple of times. And if I can't, as you know stuff, Nikki or Chantel or Martin or whoever, you can join and say, oh, I'll help and explain better. Okay. Show the indication again, I missed it. I'm sorry, I don't know, Ivan, what you're talking about there. What indication?
I'm talking about those lines. My internet connection was quite bad.
Yeah, all right. So go on. Okay, no, sorry, we're about to close up now. Saying my internet connection is not good, it doesn't mean anything to me, and that's, with all due respect, that's your hassle. I'm asking, can you show the indication again? I missed it. What indication is this? Well, you can always WhatsApp me. You got my WhatsApp number. You have to close up now. So you know, if you're a bit shy to speak or your internet problem, just WhatsApp me and I'll try and explain. But be clear on your question, otherwise I might answer the question correctly, but it's the wrong question I've answered. Yeah, because if you don't, somebody else might not. So it's important that you've got to know that, because I can guarantee more than 50%, probably close to about 70 trade without knowing these basics. That's what's coming back and biting. Okay, good stuff. Catch you tomorrow, guys. Hope you've got the game back. Good stuff, Diamond. Cheers, mate. Good job, guys. Thanks very much, everybody.